welcome to the Beginnings Quilt Along block number 4. This is called Hovering Hawks. I'm showing the cutting and then you mark your background pieces. We're doing the same half square triangles that we've done on the last couple of blocks. So I'm not going to go over how to do those again, but it is all in the pattern. And here's the half square triangles cut and pressed toward the dark side. And then this is how you trim them so that they're perfect. When you lay out your blocks, you want them to be laid out like this. The lighter colors make little butterflies in the center, and then the darker colors to the outside. Again, this is all in the pattern, so you don't need to worry about taking a screenshot or anything. And I will put a link to the pattern in the notes on the video. Here I am sewing together the rows of this block. And I just put a little pin right in the end to keep it held together. On these ones, you're not needing to match up any points. But when we start sewing together the rows, you're going to match up points. So here I'm showing you how to match up the points. So you're going to put a pin in where the two seams come together on your half square triangle. And then on the next row, you're putting the pin in again at the point. Can you see that where it goes into the point right there? Yeah. And then you keep the pin standing straight up. This is the same way we've been doing this all along. But I always like to make sure that I'm showing you again because it's good to have repetition. And that's why we're doing these blocks, because I taught you how to do half square triangles. So now we're practicing those half square triangles. These are a little bit smaller than the ones we've done in the last couple of blocks because they're 2.5 inches. So you keep that pin standing straight up through the 2 points so that it's holding those 2 points together. And then you put a pin on one side of the seam and a pin on the other side of the seam, and that's going to hold your point there. So that when you sew that seam, your points stay together and you have perfect points when you're done. And go on to the next one. If you have 2 points that need to go together, then you put the pin straight into the point on the one in the front and into the point on the row in the back. Have the pin standing straight up and squish together your seams. Make sure they're nice and tight together. And there, I'm doing that. And then put a pin in each side of the seam again. So the rest of this video is just me doing that. There's 3 seams in the block, and so you'll do this on each seam and put a pin in the end again of where your seam is going to be because you want to make sure that it gets all held together nicely. This one you don't have 2 points to put together, so you just put the seam together. And I just put a pin in the one side of the seam where the seam allowance might get flipped over so that it doesn't get flipped over. And then I put a pin in the end like I always do to hold it together so that it doesn't shift and we don't end up with crooked edges. And then start back at the beginning, go ahead and sew your seam at 1/4 inch. Don't forget when you get to the seams to sew right over where you see the point of the triangle. And take out your pins as you go. Go slowly over the seams so that you don't mess up your points. And just take your time and do it right. And I know some people hate to pin, and I totally understand that. But if you want it to be perfect, if you don't care if it's perfect, I'm not the quilt police. I always say that. Do it however you want to. If you don't want to pin it, don't pin it. But if you want your points to be perfect, and I do like my points to be perfect, then if you do it this way, your points are going to come out perfect every time. And I always say it's best to learn how to do it the right way and then decide whether or not you want to do it the right way or you want to do it your own way. And if you want to do it your own way, I'm all for it. Go for it. But with these blocks, just because they're half square triangles and they're more traditional blocks, I think they look better when they're not wonky. So I try to do them right and get my points perfect. And so here I'm just showing you that the points came out perfect because I pinned it nicely. So I'm just showing you that there. And you just finish doing the rows of the block the same way and give it a good press, and then you're all done. Hope you had fun. See you on the blog.